Hey creators, in this video I'll teach you how to create flashbang within UEFN/verse. So first you want to add a post-process volume. You do this by clicking on the button up here and then going to volumes and then pressing post-process volume. Now this one is a little bit funny because you can do a lot of different things. You can be as creative as you want, but in this tutorial we're going to be super simple and just, do a few little things. So first of all, I'm going to click apply physical camera exposure, then I'm going to click minimum brightness and max brightness and put both of these to 1. Next, we're going to scroll all the way down to post-process volume settings, and we're going to put infinite extent on. Now, if you want to see how the brightness is going to look, then, we can do a little 0 and 0 here, and then this is basically how it's going to look. Of course, nothing is going to be selected or anything. It's going to be completely just, you can see nothing. But let's put it back to a default value of 1 because we don't want a flashbang. Then we want to add a cinematic sequence device, and we do that by going in here and then searching cinematic, and then we have it right here. And we just want to add it real quick here. Let's just do that. Boom. For this one, you don't really need any major settings. Everything is actually fine here. Next, you want to go into your content folder again, and then you want to add a cinematic or a level sequence. This one, you can call it whatever, just call it flashbang in our case. Then you want to click in on it, and you've probably been in here before, so it should be okay simple. You basically just drag the thing you want to animate or the thing you want to sequence into the sequencer. And in here, mostly I'm guessing people have used the transform before, but we're not going to actually use the transform in our case. We're going to use a few settings here. Now, in these settings, we're basically just going to animate the little thing that we basically tweaked over in the exposure. So we go to exposure, then we click max brightness, and we do the same just for the minimum brightness. So now we actually have what is necessary. In my case, I like to add a actor hidden in game. Just, it's not really necessary, but I do it for fun. And I just add these two little steps here. So basically at the first frame it's activated. Now this one you can tweak as much as you want, right? So this is the length of how long it's gonna play, right? So if you wanted to play for like, I don't know how long, of course you can go on forever. My preference, I believe, was around here. So I'm gonna put here and here. There we go. I'm gonna drag this back just because I can. There we go. All right. Now the same goes with the brightness, and in here you want to set the initial brightness on the first frame that actually is visible, of course. And then all you really want to do, right, is, okay, how long does it take before I get flashed? Let's say I want to get flashed within the first 5 frames. Then we're going to put it to 0 and 0. So currently it's boom, just like a little boom. Has like a little intro, right? You don't just and then you're gone, right? So we have a little intro, and then you got to figure out how long you basically want to play it. So I want them to be stuck at, full brightness for at least, let's say, like 15 frames, right? Let's see if this is fine. And then it starts transitioning out to 1 again down here. So let's see how this looks. Flashbang, and then you start coming back to life. It looks fine. I'm gonna go with this for now because I don't want to do too much to it. And that's basically it for the sequencer. Boom. All we gotta really do before we get into the fun stuff is add it to the sequence. Now, before actually adding or going in and coding, as you can see down here, we're actually missing a little thing called the Flash Signal Remote Manager, or at least it's a signal remote. And this is a creative device. Of course, you can use any sort of trigger, right? Signal, there we go. Signal Remote Manager. You can use any sort of trigger. You can use a normal trigger, but in this case, I would like it to be a Signal Remote Manager or a Signal Remote, because then it's kind of like, pressing a button and then you can flashbang the person. So yeah, I'm just going to use the Signal Remote Manager, and I'm going to put it to, let's just say Epic. Now, of course, you also want to add a item granter, because you would want the player to have the item. So in here, I'm just going to do simple settings, just running through real quick. So grind on game start. Yep, we do want that. Triggering player, enable at game start. Yep, that's fine. All right, cool. And in here, we're gonna add the signal remote. Now, in our case, we chose the epic one, so we're gonna choose C, and this is gonna get granted to me on game start now. Perfect. So far, so good. Now I don't want to connect them yet, because yeah, I mean we can go and click boom, and boom. But again, we aren't so far in the actual coding, so it's probably not viable yet for you to do that. Now, if we go into the code, yeah, we're gonna start off with the two editables, which is the things I just made, right? So the editable, the first editable, call it whatever the hell you want. Same with the flashbang. Of course, if you call it something different, it's gonna be called something different down here. So in our case, we're gonna call Flash Signal Remote Manager, and then we're gonna add the device, which is the Signal Remote Manager device, and the same with the flashbang, right? So it's a cinematic sequence device. So this is just basically importing it. This is connecting the two pieces together. Next, we go down to the on begin, and in here we are basically calling the Signal Remote Manager and checking for a primary signal event, and then subscribing to a function. Now, the primary signal event is when you left click. So it's basically when you use the shoot button. Now in here, I've done some debugging. It's not really necessary. It's just nice to have. Now next, let's go down to the actual function. Now in here, we spawn another function. This is it's a necessary like in between step. It doesn't work if I put this up here. So it's just necessary. Let's just say that much. And it's nice code to have as well. It's easier. Flashbang activated. Now you can see that we actually need an agent for both of them. An agent, it's basically the player. So in our function here, all we start off with is getting all the players. This is because we're gonna be flashbanging a specific person of all those players. So first, the initial character that we actually get is your own location, or the person who activates it. So we get the viewpoint of this person. And then we actually run a function, another function, called getClosestPlayerToViewpoint. So let's just skip over this part down here, because we're going to go straight down here. Now in here, all it really requires is all players, so it requires getting all the players. It requires the viewpoint, or the view location of the player, and then it requires the player. Now, the reason for this is we don't want to flash ourselves. Of course not. No. We want to flash people. We don't want to flash ourselves. So that's basically why. So, initially, the closest player, or the closest person to get flashed, is yourself. But we don't want that, of course. So, for all the players, so first of all, we basically go through all the players and check if, one, they're the player flashing. If they are, then we should move on to the next one. And then we basically compare the distance from all the players to the viewpoint, right? So we get the closest player, and then we return that result. That's basically all that's happening down here. And then it will return the player that's closest, and then we can play the flashbang to them. That's all. It's pretty straightforward. I know there's a lot of if statements and for statements down here that's like, oh shit, but it shouldn't be that hard, right? It's just checking all the players, what is their location, what is the viewpoint location, and then figuring out, okay, who's closest, and then flashing them. Now, this could be tweaked a little bit, of course. You could flash all players, you could flash all players excluding you as well. So I would tweak this if this is for you, or maybe even just, kind of deleting this and just flashing everyone. So now that we're actually done with the coding, I guess you could say, we can actually go in and see if it works. So we're gonna save it, we're gonna push changes, and then we're gonna just wait a second, because it's gonna take a little bit before we can actually test it. All right, let's test if it works. Keep in mind, if you're the only user or only person inside of the actual thing, you're the one to be flashed. So we should be getting flashbanged in 3, 2, 1, and boom. Flashbang closest player. Now again, if there is another person, they're gonna be flashbanged. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. I'll be posting more tutorials, and yeah, thank you for watching.